Would you like to I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. We have any comments from the audience today? I wish. And then, any corrections to the agenda or consent calendar? We want to hold anything for discussion? Entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call the question.
Motion passes unanimous.
Okay. That motion adopted the consent calendar too, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And that takes us down to standing and our committees. So you, Shane?
I think Kate can take this one. I haven't early.
Go for it.
Shane has a leave early. Operations Committee met on Monday. Another great meeting. A lot of information always. Let's open it up. We had Jeremy, pump supervisor, in there visiting us this month. It was great to hear about all the work going on out there on pumps. Seems to be a lot of stuff going on, unfortunately, pumps. But we got the right staff to handle it. So there's, just various issues in works. And, honestly, I think just hearing from staff, there's not a lot to report out, so to speak, to the public and to the broader board, but everything's humming along nicely. Getting ready for winter. Winterization is going like we all are. So,
Good. Okay. And Colorado Water Agency met on the 8th, Wednesday. And as a really note, we focus primarily on our river watershed issues there. So, all right, other board member reports, staff attorney report, Julie.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm noticing that on the agenda, the title of my report is Notice of Completion Filing. Between the time that we published the agenda and I put together this one slide presentation that you guys should be able to see, kind of expanded the scope of it to really take a quick look at all the different types of actions that we repeatedly bring to the board over the course of a specific public works contract. Some things we just do it once, but some, like change orders, anytime we have a change order, we come over and over again. The reason why I'm presenting this today is because we have noticed as our capital program has grown and we have more and more contracts, we're coming to you more and more often with some of these actions that may be able to be handled at the staff level if the board is in agreement. So on this slide, I've got the 6 most common of the types of actions that we bring to the board for a contract. Some of them, 1, 3, and 4, those we need to bring to the board because of a statute or a district policy that requires us to do so. But these others, 2, 5, and 6, are open for the board to delegate the authorization to staff, either to the general manager or to staff in general, depending on your preference. So the first here is authorize staff to file environmental documents. So a given project may have one of several degrees of environmental documentation required. Vast majority of our projects are exempt under CEQA because they are for replacements. So if it pleases the board, we could draft a resolution that delegates the authority for making the determination that something is exempt, and then filing the paperwork to staff. And then more advanced environmental documents, neg decks, mitigated neg decks, those would all still come to the board for certification and authorization for filing. So that's the alternative we'd like you to consider for that type. For number 5, authorize staff to file notice of completion. There's been a rash of these in recent months, and there is a very tight timeline for getting those notices filed with the county in order to keep our stop notice filing period short. We have to have those filed within 15 days of the actual completion of work. So if it pleases the board, that could by resolution be delegated to the general manager to sign off on those NOCs so that we can proceed with filing, rather than us coming to the board. And then last on the list is approving closeout agreement and release of retention. This closeout agreement document is very specific to the district, so there is no kind of statutory tie with any of this. However, it has been our practice that the board signs this agreement in advance of releasing retention. And the release of retention, there is a statutory obligation that we do that within 60 days of the completion of work. So again, it would relieve the burden that we often see in the fall with closeouts and NOCs and things. If that function would be delegated to the general manager, and it would allow us to keep with those timelines that we need to hold. Any questions?
I have no objections to the proposed changes. Other board members, what's your reaction?
Just a quick question. So in regard to 6, that would, because it says alternative delegate to general manager, just be clear that would be delegated to the general manager, correct?
Yeah, so we could write a resolution that the board allows the board to basically give a blanket delegation to the general manager that when we get to the end of a construction project and it's time to close it out, that the general manager can sign that agreement.
I have no problems with this at all, actually. I like the efficiency. Maybe some of the larger contracts, I'm just thinking if there's a way just to report out what's happened.
Yeah, Paul and I were talking about that maybe once in the fall, the engineering manager would do a staff report to the board and kind of run through, these are all the projects that we completed this summer. We could give you a little summary of where things landed financially, because that's some of the content of the closeout agreement. And you'd only hear from me once. And a little bit lengthier presentation probably, but we wouldn't have all the
presentation. It's more just written documentation in the packet in the fall, like you said, that time frame.
Yeah.
Okay, just a good presentation.
Okay.
This is a question, I guess, Keith, are you okay with some of these suggestions, recommendations?
Yes, I've reviewed them. They're legally sufficient. They improve efficiency and comply with the law.
Okay, and just a quick question on number 2, where you are delegating to staff as opposed to the general manager. Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, again, it was just for efficiency because the project manager who's in charge of the project understands the scope of the project and will be completing the paperwork. In the past, we've had staff sign off on that document before it gets filed. So this is the one where we've been the least consistent. Sometimes these come to the board, especially when they accompany like a funding packet, and you may actually continue to see us do that if there's some stipulation of our funding agreement that requires that to have been certified by the board. But this would help us tighten up our procedures so that we're more consistent. If we had this, we knew every time what we're going to do with it.
And this item is just limited to those projects for exempt determination or anything within the AR or.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Anything that requires a public hearing and certification, we would still be bringing before the board.
Cool. All right, I think you're hearing no objections, so.
Yeah, again, just, I think if there's an opportunity to try and get it somewhere in our board package, just so it's on the record somewhere, that we know that stuff happens.
Sure, yeah, we could have it displayed something like, paying the claims or something, yeah. Okay, well, we can have that ready for you at the next board meeting.
Yeah, so I'll work with Keith to draft up the resolutions that you need, and we'll bring them forward.
That's true.
Thank you.
All right, GM report.
Okay, just a couple of things. The Director of Operations, I was expecting to have an agenda item requesting for this board meeting, but we just recently received the data from the compensation study, and so I'd like some time to review that and go over it with the management group that helped put that job description together. But you should see it at the next board meeting. Zero emission vehicle mandate. So in April of 23, the California Air Resources Control Board passed the Advanced Clean Fleets Regulation, which impacts the purchasing of vehicles that have a gross weight of greater than 8,500 pounds. We have been following this regulation very closely, and our two experts on it are Shelley Thompson and Cliff Bartlett, and they're actually scheduled to be here at the next board meeting to give a more formal report on the subject. So for just a quick summary, the regulation states that California, state, and local governments beginning January of 24, so 2 months from now, are required to purchase at least 50% of their scheduled replacement vehicles, once again, vehicles over 8,500 pounds, as zero-emission vehicles each year, and then beginning January 27, all vehicles over 8,500 pounds must be zero-emission vehicles. Obviously, this did cause a lot of concern for us as well as agencies like ours that need access to heavy-duty four-wheel drive vehicles that are capable of operating in the snow and other conditions, and they also need to be available all the time at a moment's notice. And then the actual supply and the history of use of these vehicles is still a concern. So in response to these concerns, the governor actually signed Assembly Bill 1594 on October 8th, and it exempts certain public agency utilities from these new requirements, including water and sewer. There are some additional annual reporting requirements under the new regulations, but at this point, we don't know if we will have to comply at this point with them or not, but we will find out and we'll have more info to report in December 7th. I do think we would be very naive, though, if we didn't think that eventually we will fall into these regulations at some point. So I think having a good inventory of our fleet, like Nick's been suggesting, including knowing like what EVs are available now and in the future for our entire fleet, as well as having a better understanding of their usage experience in climates and terrains like ours will be very useful. So we'll start getting that put together. That's it.
And I think part of that is if there's only one backhoe maker, for instance, that to buy from that backhoe maker would essentially be a sole source purchase, and I think from public purchasing code, you would think that would not be required of us, that would be held hostage by that one loan provider. So I don't know if that's part of the exception process, but I guess
there are some other exemption processes for agencies that aren't completely exempt at this point, and available inventory is one of them. Yeah, because I mean, if they're not there, you can't get them.
Very good. Any questions? All right, notice of past and future meetings are posted in the agenda, and with no other business, we are adjourned.